A man drifts out of a restless night's sleep, opens his eyes, and realizes his body is no longer human. No explanation, no warning, no flashback to how it happened. Just a man, a bed, and a body that doesn't belong to him anymore. And a family on the other side of the door who have no idea their world is about to end. This is the opening of Franz Kafka's The Metamorphosis. And what happens next is one of the bleakest, strangest, and most quietly devastating stories ever written. Gregor Samsa is a traveling salesman, exhausted, dutiful, and the sole financial support for his parents and younger sister, Greta. He hates his job, but keeps it anyway, because his family depends on him completely. One morning, he wakes up as a massive insect-like creature. His first thought isn't horror, it's panic about missing his train to work. This is the quiet joke at the heart of the book. Even monstrously transformed, Gregor's first instinct is guilt about being late. When Gregor fails to leave his room, his family grows alarmed, not out of concern for him, but because his absence threatens their income. When they finally see what he's become, horror sets in immediately. His father drives him back into his room with a cane. His mother faints. Only Greta initially shows him any tenderness, bringing him food and cleaning his room. But as weeks pass, even her patience erodes. Gregor, meanwhile, retains his human mind throughout. He can understand everything said about him, including the slow, painful realization that his family now sees him as a burden rather than a person. At one point, his father, enraged and frightened, pelts him with apples. One lodges in his back and remains embedded there for the rest of the story, since no one dares to remove it. The wound never heals, leaving Gregor permanently weakened and far less mobile. The family takes in lodgers to make ends meet. Soon after, the family begins clearing his room of its furniture under the guise of giving him space to crawl. In reality, they are stripping away his last physical connections to his human life, officially treating him like an animal. With the furniture gone, Gregor's room becomes a storage space for junk. He is, piece by piece, erased from the household, physically isolated, then forgotten, then resented. One evening, Gregor crawls out of his room while his sister plays violin for the lodgers. He's drawn to the music. It's the most human moment left in him. But his appearance disgusts the lodgers, who threaten to leave. Greta, finally breaking, says the unthinkable, that it, no longer he, has to go. Gregor retreats to his room. Weakened by the untreated wound and weeks of refusing food, he dies quietly before dawn. The family's charwoman discovers his body the next morning. The final pages are the most chilling part of the book. The family feels relief. They take a tram ride into the countryside, discuss moving to a smaller apartment now that they have one less mouth to feed, and notice, almost in passing, that Greta has blossomed into a healthy, marriageable young woman. Life simply continues without him. Kafka never tells us why Gregor transformed, and that's the point. The insect is almost beside the point. What the book is really about is how quickly a person can become invisible the moment they stop being useful. Gregor spent his whole life as a provider, never questioned, never thanked, and the instant he could no longer perform that role, his family's love revealed itself to have conditions attached all along. It's a brutal, quiet warning about how fragile our place in a family or a system can be when that place is built entirely on what we produce, rather than who we are. Kafka wrote The Metamorphosis in 1915. A century later, it still asks the same uncomfortable question. If you stopped being useful tomorrow, would you still belong? If you want more summaries like this, subscribe. We release a new book every week.